Hi guys, it's Tor here at Co-Kinetic. Thank you for listening into our sessions today. This is a re-recording of a session that I presented at COPA 2018 about a week ago now, and I organised a group of speakers to talk about the marketing funnel and how you could get people in at the top of the funnel in terms of acquiring new leads, how you could nurture them at the middle level, and then how you could convert them into paying customers at the bottom of the funnel. And all the speakers spoke about part of this funnel. And it went down so well that we've been asked to put it together as a series of recordings. So very kindly, all the speakers who spoke that day have put their presentations together, and mine is the last one to come in, obviously. But just by way of introducing myself, my name is Tor Davies. I'm a former physio and a founder of Co-Kinetic, which is a journal and a website which is packed full of time-saving resources for physical and manual therapists. Traditionally, those have been clinical resources, but more recently, I've been working with a bunch of physical therapists to help them promote and grow their businesses. And now I create content packages through a subscription that is ready-made content that helps you do just that. And today I'm going to be speaking on 5 online strategies for filling your marketing funnel. My session follows directly on from Jill Woods' session, which covered the 5 strategies for filling your marketing funnel from an offline perspective. Okay, so a couple of years ago, I was doing a bit of soul searching. I'd been producing the Co-Kinetic journal, well, formerly it was known as Sportex, for about 16 years, I think, by that point. And while I knew that my subscribers really loved the clinical content that I was producing, because it was all revolving around turning research into practical application, I knew that I could do much more with it. So I decided to go out and talk to nearly 1,000 physical and manual therapists, and these weren't all my subscribers, they were a whole mix of different people, and really try and find out what was keeping people awake at night. And as I discovered, more than 93% of people wanted to increase their number of new customers. That was the one thing that was concerning everybody the most. 76% wanted help with marketing to grow their business, and nearly 75% wanted help understanding how to use social media to do this. And some of the concerns that surfaced most frequently were these. I don't know where to start, I don't know who I should trust, I don't know which aspect to focus on, and I don't know how to get the biggest bang for my marketing buck. Well, I'm a big fan of 80-20 and trying to do the least amount of work to get the biggest amount of outcome. So I sat down and I thought, right, well, I reckon I can come up with a solution to this. So I put together what I've called a marketing grader. And I wanted to basically answer those concerns. And basically, it takes 2 minutes to complete. It asks about 20 really easy yes-no questions about your current marketing status and kind of what you've got installed and what you haven't got installed. And off the back of that, it delivers a really good 8-email course on the 13 marketing activities that will build you a thriving physical therapy business. And the email content is completely customized based on your specific answers to the questions. It took me about 2 weeks to put together. It's completely free, and I'll give you the address to go and do it. But basically, it's been so well received that our open rates are nearly 50%. And as you can see from the stats on the screen, and our click rates are up at 10%. So it's about 4 times more popular, if you can put it that way, than your kind of average email. And what I've discovered out of it, it's revealed some really interesting things. Nearly 70% of respondents were unable to collect email leads from anywhere. 90% of you don't offer free downloads in exchange for email addresses. 82% of people don't email their existing customers regularly. 84% don't offer any kind of free trials, assessments, or any kind of opportunity for prospective clients to get face-to-face with them. And 93% don't do any Facebook advertising. So what does that tell me? Well, basically, we're missing the 3 basic steps in every single marketing strategy. Collecting new prospective leads, nurturing those leads, and then offering some kind of conversion opportunity. So that also tells me that most people are probably not getting any decent results from their marketing activities, full stop. And yet, on average, the average survey respondent is spending nearly 10 hours a month on marketing. That's a full working day. And that, if you do the maths. That's costing you, well, if you're a physical therapist, between 500 and 550 quid a month. If you're a massage therapist, 300 to 350 quid a month. And I think that's conservative, because really we shouldn't be competing on price, and most of you should be charging more than that. But what it comes down to is that is a crazy waste of your time, because I bet that is not delivering a return on investment. And unsurprisingly, 71% of people who responded to the survey still rated their hunger for clients or new clients as 4 or 5 out of 5. So while I'm not surprised given the Marketing Grader results, I find it incredibly frustrating, because there are basically 13 things that you need to do to guarantee yourself a thriving business. That's it, 13. And 8 of those are one-off setup jobs. So there's only 5 things that you need to do regularly that will literally create a kind of marketing funnel that will be generating as many clients as you want to, and a kind of marketing funnel that you can turn on and turn off exactly when you want it to. So that's exactly why I started creating the resources that you need to deliver those 5 regular activities, because they take time, they cost a lot to do, but when you've got them, you literally have a perfect marketing strategy at your fingertips. I won't go into that now, I'll cover it quickly later, but basically go to this URL, this website address, marketinggrader.guru, and just go and answer those 20 or so, 21 questions. They are really easy questions, you'll know the answers to them, there's no tricks in there. And off the back of that, you will receive 8 emails in full GDPR compliance. You'll receive 8 emails. They are very practically orientated emails, and they will give you the things that you need to do that with the highest priority at the top, and they'll explain exactly how you can implement them as well. It's all really practical and really useful reference source. Okay, so the problem is that we are fighting an increasing number of failing businesses. So much noise out there, so much of an overload of information, growing competition from all the other therapists who are offering similar comparative services in terms of the public's eyes. Marketing does take time, and it is hard to do well. And generally, well, we hate selling ourselves, as we know. And let's not forget about good old GDPR. So the result is basically that we do nothing. But you can do a really good job of marketing yourself. It just needs to be underpinned by a set of tactics and a game plan that has been proven to work, which doesn't make you feel like you're selling. That's the key to it, particularly from a health professional point of view. So I liken it a bit like dating. First of all, we meet and greet. Second stage is that we get to know each other. And the third stage is usually we ask each other out on a proper date. Okay, so this is what it looks like in terms of marketing. So level 1 is where you make your presence known and you get your business in front of people. And then you start establishing and building on reputation and authority. And then most importantly, you start building your contact email list. This is really key. This is how social media can deliver a real return on investment at that level. Then level 2 completely revolves around nurturing these new relationships, as well as building on the existing relationships you've got with people who you've got email addresses for. So the way that we do this is we offer them high value content and opportunities to strengthen their relationship with you. Again, there's a whole process of building your reputation and authority. And then level 3 builds on this relationship and gives them proactive opportunities to become a paying customer. The whole idea is to move as many prospects as you can from being a cold lead, i.e. they had no idea who you were, to a hot lead where they trust you enough to ask you to solve some kind of problem for them and pay you to do it. But how are you going to do that without feeling like you're delivering a sales pitch? Well, it all revolves around focusing on offering value. If you can offer education, development, improvement, if you can explain things to them, if you can nurture them, if you can enlighten them, then you're achieving your goal at this level. It's a marketing technique that is often referred to as content marketing or education-based marketing. And basically, I want you to try an experiment. So try writing in a Google search box, what are the most effective online marketing strategies Well, I did that just before this presentation, and every single search result in the first 2 pages, I've got to confess I didn't go much further than the first 2 pages, featured some kind of content marketing in the top 2 or 3 strategies. So what is content marketing? Well, it's basically educational content that informs, educates and offers value to the reader. So this slide will show you some of the sort of things that you could do. It could be pictures, it could be infographics, it could be writing a blog article on your website, it could be posting an educational video or an article or some sort of slideshow like this, or a podcast. There's lots and lots of different marketing formats that you could use, or content marketing formats. But the principle of it all is around offering value and offering education. So it doesn't seem like marketing. And in fact, when I was doing my presentation on GDPR, I looked specifically into whether content or creating content was considered a form of marketing. And nobody could really answer my question. But from a GDPR compliance point of view, it's just better to get consent in the first place. So that's the way forward. But content marketing is really nothing to do with marketing, and that is the beauty of it in terms of health professionals, because we can feel very comfortable with it. It's something that we do every day. We offer advice, we try and solve people's problems, and that is the essence of content marketing. Here are a few key points about content marketing. It's a proven technique which works in any industry anywhere in the world. It is the single most effective long-term marketing and relationship building strategy out there. It's incredibly GDPR friendly, which we'll cover in a minute. It focuses on constantly adding value. There's literally not a sales pitch in sight. And it's a highly effective lead conversion strategy, both in terms of cost and in terms of conversion rates. So let's move on to the GDPR aspect, because obviously that's affecting us quite significantly at the moment. One of the best things about content marketing is that it's education based. It's all around value add content, which means it gets much higher opt-in rates and much higher open rates than any sales or business orientated emails. Content marketing emails are usually considered a trigger email. So they're sent in response to some sort of request, whether it's a segmented trigger, whether it's an interest in a particular subject. Take running, for example. Somebody signs up to receive some running injury leaflets. You know that they've got some sort of running injury, and you have got a much better chance of targeting them. You'll get a better higher opt-in rate and a better open rate than pretty much any other email type. So what does that look like in your world? Well, it could be anything that's educational, informative, entertaining, basically anything that adds value, anything that helps people do all of those things that we saw on the signpost earlier. So the sorts of things that we create are obviously social media posts, advice handouts, newsletters, cheat sheets. We did a cheat sheet on how to avoid injuries in cycling, blog post, infographics, videos, cartoons, nurture emails, whiteboard explainer animations. I love those. How-to guides and case studies, exercise sheets. There's all sorts of things that you can do that add value to people's lives. So you start at the top with your meet and greet. And as we said, level 1 is all about getting yourself in front of people. So that's the first primary priority. You need to get them to see you and recognize your brand or recognize you. And the second priority, which is arguably the most important one, is collecting new leads. If you don't collect new leads, you have absolutely no opportunity to move them down the funnel. So how do you do that? Well, for me, I always kind of start in the middle section. So there's 2 levels to this sort of concept, this funnel concept. Top level is get yourself in front of people. Social media is a brilliant way of doing that. There's loads and loads of people on all the social networks. So put some really good social media out there. And more importantly, have a really good, we call it a lead magnet, some sort of value added piece of content that you sit behind a lead capture page. In order to receive the piece of content, they've got to give you their details. In our world, these are the kind of social media posts that we would create for you. The idea is that they're all educational, they're informative, they're entertaining. Some of them are animations, some of them are whiteboard explainer videos, could be infographics, could just be funny cartoons. And all of them are just designed to post onto your social networks, but they all link back to a landing page. And at that landing page point, we offer some sort of value added piece of content that is relevant to the social media posts that have been going out on your social networks. Somebody hopefully is interested in that topic. They come to the landing page, they look at what's on offer, and they say, great, that's worth me giving my email address for. Bingo, that gets them into level 2. So level 2 is obviously where you start to do the nurturing. Particularly email is a really strong tool for doing this. You start to build authority, you start to generate the know, like, trust factor. You build a relationship with them, they get to know you. And we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. But this presentation is fundamentally about how to fill your online funnel or your funnel through online methods. So the first method that I would suggest would be social networks, obviously. Access to large numbers of people, over 2 billion on Facebook. The tools are specifically designed for building relationships, and so that makes them really, really useful from your perspective. You can engage based on all sorts of different interests. There's pages on just about any topic you can imagine on Facebook. So if you found, for example, local groups that might be around back pain or osteoarthritis, or could be cycling groups, and you just get engaged in conversations on there, or you point them to resources that you've published on your website that are relevant to them. Make sure that everything is around adding value. And obviously the big benefit of social networks are they're free and accessible to everybody. And if you combine them with paid advertising, which we're going to touch on in a minute, they can be really, really powerful. So your second source of leads from online methods, I would say, has to be blogging. Blogging offers massive benefits in terms of search engine optimization. It just helps you become much more findable through the search engines. It also helps you to build authority and reputation. And when you combine it with lead collection, as we described a couple of slides ago, and a lead magnet, it can really help you build your email list. So as you recall, we have social media posts on a certain topic which lead to a landing page which offers a really nice high value piece of content which they can download in exchange for giving you their email address. And all you need to do is include in a sort of abbreviated blog post, oh, did you know we have a resource on this? Click here, and it takes them off to the landing page, and the chances are they're reading your blog post, they're probably interested in the topic, and if your lead magnet is good enough, there's a good chance that they're going to download that. So blogging, great way to collect leads and fill your online marketing funnel. Third way, I'm probably doing this in priority order, I think. Third thing is online search. SEO is still probably one of the internet's darkest arts, but it's really powerful when it's done well. So search engine optimization, for anyone who doesn't know what it is basically making you more findable on the big search engines, particularly Google. And some of the things that will help you rank well in terms of the search engine results page is having video on your website. So this is one of the major things. Google and Facebook are in a turf war to dominate video. Google obviously owns YouTube, and Facebook is prioritizing it very heavily in the news feeds, hence the reason why a lot of what you're probably seeing on your Facebook news feed is video. So the more video you can get onto your website, the better. As part of our kits, we produce 3 or 4, sometimes 5 videos with every campaign that we run, which you can post either through our site or you can upload directly onto your website, or do both. We include things like animated explainer videos, which are very popular, and they're all education based. So get video onto your website. Another good thing for search engine optimization, as we mentioned earlier, is blogs, particularly when you combine those with lead capture opportunities. Having good meta tagging is really key. So even if you have to pay somebody, get some recommendations, because there's a lot of people out there who profess to be very good at search engine optimization, and obviously some are better than others, and they can be quite pricey. So get a good structure in place, get them to teach you what you need to be doing on an ongoing basis to make sure that you're optimizing your site well, and don't get ripped off. Reviews and testimonials, really, really good for online search. They're also a very good authority and persuasion tool. So it's one of the things that I recommend really strongly, is to get as many reviews and testimonials as you can. I would spread them out, get some on Facebook, get some on Google. If you've got your own, if you subscribe to an independent review tool, just make sure, if possible, that you can bring in your Google and Facebook reviews as well, so that you can combine them and they can become kind of more powerful. And the last thing I would suggest on the online search is make sure you've got your Google business listing set up. It's free, and basically what it means is that when somebody Googles you or Googles your clinic name, on the right hand side of the search results page you will see a panel dedicated to your business. You can include links on there to your website, opening hours, contact numbers, all sorts of useful information. Google is the king of search at the moment, so anything that Google offers will give you a better chance of being found. So my fourth tip would be paid advertising. This is arguably, at least at this point in time, one of the most powerful tools that we have at our disposal today, and that's as long as you have a strategy. You need to have a strategy with your paid ads. A lot of people I know have blown money with people who convinced them to go and do some paid advertising, and they've either just boosted posts or to try and get more engagement and more likes, but that actually doesn't result in any kind of specific return on investment. So I would really encourage you to make sure that you have a really good objective with your paid ads, whether that's to increase sign-ups to your lead magnet, for example. So say you've published a new blog post on your website, you might want to use some paid ads to get people onto that blog post, and obviously within that blog post hopefully you have a link to send them to the landing page where they can download your value added pieces of content. Equally, you could use paid ads to advertise your lead magnet specifically. You could use them for advertising any free promotions or assessments or mini assessments or taster sessions that you might be running. Whatever it is, just make sure there is an objective and an outcome at the end of it, which is more than just getting better engagement and getting more likes on your page, because they really just don't result in any kind of return on investment generally. Okay, so paid ads, they are cheap. They are getting a little bit more expensive since Facebook decided that they weren't going to post people's page posts on people's news feeds, or at least they were going to prioritize personal posts above page posts on news feeds. So really, if you want to get your posts that you post on your page seen, you are going to have to pay to play, and that's another topic that I have given a presentation on and I will be recording at some point. You can get really, really targeted with paid ads. It's phenomenally exciting actually what you can do with paid ads if you do have a strategy. You can pretty much get anyone to do anything you want them to if you do it well. So this is arguably our most powerful funnel filling activity in my view. And the fifth tactic is not really a funnel filling activity, although it can contribute to it. But email marketing, this is one thing that we aren't doing enough of, as you saw from my statistics at the beginning. I think, I can't remember what the statistic was, but it was a phenomenal number of people who 82% who are not emailing their contacts regularly. Now to me this is a real travesty, because you have that list of people, well, it will be a smaller list post GDPR, but it is still a list of people who are interested in what you're doing. And it's a really good way of moving people down through the funnel. So if people are not in the right buying cycle, I kind of say if they're not at a clinical tipping point, because that's one of the differences that we have in our sort of sales funnel, is that people do have to be at a clinical tipping point before, or are likely to have to be at a clinical tipping point before they go and book an appointment with you. So they have to have reached something that is going to incentivize them coming to see you, and that might be it might be a post event, it might be a result of a car accident or some sort of trauma, it could be a chronic condition which they can't live with anymore, or they can't manage any longer in the way that they've been managing it previously. But whatever it is, there has to be a kind of point where they say, oh right, I really need to go and see my physio, my osteopath, my chiropractor, my sports therapist, whatever. So email marketing is really powerful because it just keeps you on top of people's minds. And when they do reach that clinical tipping point, they're much more likely to think of you because you've been there, you've been offering them nurture emails, you've been giving them value-added information, that you've built trust, you've built authority. And, you know, when they're ready to make a call on booking an appointment, you will be the first person they think of. Other benefits of email marketing, obviously, it's easy to automate. It's really easy to share and forward emails, specifically if you're giving value-add information that might appeal to one person but not another. You might put at the bottom of your email on running injuries. If you know any runners, feel free to forward this email to them. And obviously the other benefit of email marketing is scale is no issue. So it doesn't matter if you've got 10 leads or if you've got 300 or 3,000. The same, you don't have to do any more work in order to get those extra emails out. So email marketing, very, very powerful marketing tool. Obviously I did a bit of Googling when I was preparing this presentation, so I went to one of my most trusted sources of digital marketing advice, HubSpot, which is a very, very great resource, and I definitely recommend that you go and check it out. They've got loads and loads of really useful blog posts, and if you Google just about any kind of marketing question, HubSpot come right up at the top. So I Googled, obviously, where do marketers get leads or something to that effect, and according to HubSpot, the top 3 sources for business to consumer was social media at 17%, search engine optimization at 16%, and email marketing at 15%. Now, interestingly, pay-per-click was also there, but I think in the context of this piece of research, they were specifically referring to paid search, and that is obviously not what Facebook advertising is, because that's much more targeted and it's not so much about searching, it's about putting stuff in news feeds. So I suspect if they'd used Facebook advertising in there, or they'd included it in there, that would have also been one of the highest results. So let's just recap. At level 1, what I call my meet and greet level, it's all about generating new leads, new contacts, and building that email list. That's your top priority. It's about getting in front of people, making them aware that you exist, and collecting leads so that you can then move them down into the next stage of the funnel, which we're going to talk about in a minute, which is all around the nurturing side. So just to recap, social networks, top of my list, particularly if you combine it with paid ads, which is obviously on number 4 there. I didn't really do them in priority order. I would have put that one at the top. Blogging, Google search or online search, and email marketing. But what do you do with these new contacts once you've got them? Well, you move to the nurturing level. Now this is really, as I said earlier, underused. I know, as we said, 82% of people do not email their current contacts regularly, and it's a complete waste, really, because those people are there, they're ripe for you to keep in contact with. I suspect the reason why most people don't email their contacts regularly is because they don't want to bombard them with sales stuff, which is why content marketing or education-based marketing as a strategy can be so useful here, because all you're doing is regularly giving them updates. And not many people are going to unsubscribe from things that are sent with the best intention. And if they do, that's fine, because they're not interested in knowing any more about you or your business. So you don't really want them on your list sitting there doing nothing either. So at this email nurture stage, your goal really is to strengthen your relationship with those readers. It's all about building trust, establishing authority, and also generating a sense of reciprocity. We'll go into that in a bit more detail in a minute. But as I mentioned earlier, there are always going to be some reasons why a prospect is not yet ready to become a customer. And my top of my list on this one is they haven't reached that clinical tipping point that we were talking about earlier. Second point I would say is trust and confidence. They've got to trust that you are the right person to deal with their issue. Authority and reputation is obviously a big thing. They've got to know that when they come to you, that they have picked you for a good reason, that you have a good authority and reputation in the local community, and that I would put at sort of number 3. Convenience of location, I think, is a factor, and I would say last in importance is price, because if you're satisfied and tick the boxes for the first 4 points, price really shouldn't be any kind of issue. So why is email so powerful? Well, basically, I've written an article about this, so if you want to go onto the Co-Kinetic website, and I think probably Google, or just search on there, hidden powers of email or email nurture, something along those lines, it helps you do all of these things. So if you use it in a value-add context, which is what we've been talking about, obviously it allows you to offer advice, and that advice can add value to people's lives, which in turn builds likability, it builds trust, it develops a relationship with those people. Obviously, we said earlier, it's really easy to share. It generates reciprocity, and I will explain what that means in a minute. It builds authority, it's non-intrusive, and obviously it increases brand awareness. Now, the generates reciprocity thing is quite important. So for those of you who haven't come across this book, Influence, it is absolutely brilliant. I would recommend it to anyone. I think I'm on my second time working through it. It's a fascinating book. And this professor of psychology, Robert Cialdini, came up with this theory of influence, which is based on these 6 key principles. And he feels that there's 6 shortcuts that you can take to persuade people to do things. And reciprocity sits right at the top of that. And what that means is that people basically are obliged to give back. So if you give something to somebody, people feel an obligation to give back in return. And that's really, really powerful. He puts that right at the top of his list. The other factors, as you can see there, scarcity, people want more of the things they can have less of. Authority, people follow the lead of credible, knowledgeable experts. Consistency, people like to be consistent with the things they have previously said or done. Liking, people prefer to say yes to people that they like. And consensus, that's the social proof, especially when they're uncertain. That's where we come down to reviews and testimonials being really powerful. But email basically contributes to at least 3 of those. Particularly the reciprocity, the authority, and the liking. So it is a really, really powerful tool in your marketing toolkit and should not be underestimated. And then we get down to the last level in my kind of funnel. And bear in mind that this is all only focused really on still the top part of the funnel. When Andy Hosgood and Andy Byrne come to speak shortly, they will be tackling, once you've got that person to convert, what happens going forward from there. And Vicky, who is taking over from me, will be talking about how you really deal with this level 3. So in my world, or in my kind of marketing strategy, the level 3 is really about giving people an opportunity to convert. So this is about getting people in front of you. So you've done all of the nurturing, they know who you are, you've established authority, you've nurtured them, that you've built trust, and the next level is really just to get them in front of you and put your best foot forward, really, I guess is the best way of describing it. So this could be anything. This could be about giving them some sort of face-to-face session. It could be a free taster session or a mini assessment, or it could be a presentation or seminar. Obviously, with a sort of taster session or a mini assessment, you've got your one-to-one, or you might be one to sort of a small number. With a presentation, you can tackle a larger number of people, but you don't have quite the same opportunity to develop that sort of one-to-one rapport. But this is exactly what our next speaker, Vicky Marsh, is going to talk about, because she's done this. This is the same model that she uses within her practice, and she runs through all of these stages, and she has become very, very good at knowing how to convert people at those levels. So before we get to that, you're probably running around going, oh my God, okay, so you want me to create all this meet and greet content for my social networks and my website, and help me grow my list and put blog posts on my website so I'm more findable on Google, and write these get to know me relationship building emails, and come up with all these ideas for ask on a date conversion opportunities. And it all sounds really great, but where the hell am I going to find the time? Yeah, okay, it does take a while. And this is exactly why I put a load of time into developing a kit that would help you do this. So I estimate that it would take you between 2 or 3 days probably to put all of the content together that I now create as part of the kits that we produce. And I won't go into this in massive detail, but let me just talk you through what those kits look like. So we create those 25 pieces of social media, including the videos. The platform itself does all the scheduling and posting the social media. We create the lead collection page for you and we host it. We write the lead magnet that sits behind the lead collection page. We write nurture emails so that you can promote the resources to your current customer base. We even write a sort of seminar presentation that you can give at that level 3, that sort of that face-to-face conversion opportunity. And if you did that all yourself, that would probably take 2 to 3 days. But using our content, obviously, we can cut that down to pretty much, you can run the whole thing through, all of those 3 levels, I reckon, in 5 hours. So that's less than half a day a month. And when you think about the research that the survey was showing, that people are spending 10 hours on marketing on average, and they were still hungry for clients, you can cut that amount of time in half, and you've got a never-ending tap of clients using this marketing strategy. So just a quick look at some of the content that we've created. I won't go into this, as I say, in too much detail. If you want more information, please go to the co-kinetic.com/marketing page, and you'll get loads and loads of information on there, whiteboard animation videos explaining how it all works, everything. But if we just look at this slide, so the guy in the top left with all the pluses on him, the cyclist, he was a landing page that we put together for a cycling campaign that we created, and we create a new one of these campaigns every single month. And if you clicked on any of those plus signs, you basically were able to download an advice leaflet, printable advice leaflet, all professionally designed on that particular injury. So I think we had neck pain, back pain, hip pain, knee pain, burning foot, all sorts of kind of the most common cycling injuries. And that's what they gave you, your email address. So they hit a page before that where they give you their email address, and then once they've given you their email address, they're redirected to that page. So you're automatically collecting leads on people who are interested in cycling. The pages underneath him that you can see, one was a cheat sheet on quick ways to sort of troubleshoot cycling injuries, and the other one was a newsletter. Up to the right of that, you can see two of the patient leaflets. I think one of them is back pain, and one of them was the hip pain leaflets. We had 4 or 5 videos. We had what I'm starting to call a Vimfographic. So it's an infographic but turned into a video format, which works really well. We had an animated video on cycling injuries, all sorts of stuff. And we also create posters and leaflets and postcards that you can use to promote all these resources locally. So it really is a kind of strategy that covers both online and offline. And lastly, there's kind of some examples of the types of strategies that we put together, or the types of campaigns that we put together. So we did one on skiing, the cycling one. We've done one on low back pain and sleep. We've also done them on shoulder pain. There's a running campaign, a tennis campaign. So that kind of gives you an idea, and it is all based on value-added content. There is a slight hitch because it is managed on a franchise mapping basis, because we can't obviously have people in the same area using the same content. So there is an application process. But if you do want to find out more, go visit co-kinetic.com. If you have any questions at all, there's a little chat tool in the bottom right-hand corner, which you can jump on, and I or one of my colleagues will be on the end of that. So thank you very much for your time, guys. It's been much appreciated, and I hope you found this useful, and I hope you find the other presentations in this series useful as well.